Shama or forbearance serves as the base, serves as the platform for all other values to flower in us. If you need a flower from a plant, obviously you need it to be firmly rooted in a ground, isn't it? Forbearance, patience is the ground which actually roots all the flowering of all the other values, you see. And that is the reason why Shama is placed in the start. Shama means forbearance, self-endurance, not just forgiveness. And our Swamiji's guru, his name is Sri Sri Anna, very beautifully talks about the greatness of Shama in a great work called Vaishnava Samhita, which talks about only the values which all those great saints of history, whom we have there mentioned in history itself. The values alone are very beautifully spoken about. All those miracles are all filtered out, because we can't learn from miracles. In that he is saying, Kshama Satyam, Kshama Dhanam, Kshama Yogaha, Kshama Tapaha, Kshama Dharmaha, Kshama Jnanam, Kshamaya Priyate Harihi. He is saying Kshama or forbearance. Forbearance, you understand, isn't it? Which means, I'll tell you what Shama is. For example, when I'm traveling by air and I have my meal preference in air, and unfortunately for me, the air hostess comes and tells me, I'm so sorry sir, your vegetarian meal preference is not available. You see, what do I do now? I can certainly write a letter and correct it. All that I can't do right now. I'm hungry right now. So I have an option. I can ask, do you have any fruits? Do you have any milk? Or do you have any juices to drink? I am looking for alternatives now. Suppose I don't even have that. What I do is, instead of complaining, instead of resisting, I have tried all the other means possible, because I am not a realized soul. I have something called hunger which I have to sort of appease. After exploring all possibilities, I accept it. And I sit down and say, so be it. Today is going to be a hungry day. And forbearing means uncomplainingly accept the reality as it is, without resistance and not without exploring possibilities. You see, if you are a sannyasi, you don't even explore possibilities, because you are in the inward flow. But I am still in the outward flow, so I want to look at possibilities. I ask them, can you give me alternatives? They don't have alternatives. Yes, I need to correct the system. I need to make sure the airlines have the right way to take care of their customers. All that I can't do right now. And me shouting at the air hostess is not going to solve the problem of my hunger. So I realize that. And silently, yet actively, I accept what happens now. And that's what is called titiksha. That's what is called forbearance. It is a small aspect of kshama, you see, which is forbearance. So that's why our Shastras say this forbearance is the platform in which all other values can flower. If we can't forbear, can we speak the truth? Because if I can't bear what is happening to me, I want to somehow satiate the need or the problem I have, and I will cut corners. I can't follow dharma if I can't forbear. You see, kshama. And I can't be compassionate if I don't have kshama. You see, can I be compassionate if I can't forbear a small pain or a small inconvenience? How can I show compassion? Showing compassion, the test of compassion comes when we are in troubled times. When things are going smooth, compassion, at times we forget because of the hurry. A research says, which has been quoted by one of the doyens of emotional intelligence by American psychologist, his name is Daniel Goldman, you see. And he beautifully says, do you know what is the number one enemy of compassion? We being in a hurry, rushing. Because we have compassion, we are all human, our heart melts when we see pain outside, but I don't have the time to pay attention to the pain of people. And it was done with a very interesting set of people who are actually trained for compassion. They were religious workers, okay? And so what they do is they go to places where there is famine, they go to places where there is hunger, places where there is a medical emergency, and serve people with their heart. Truly well-meaning charity workers. And they were given a target. You move from point A to point B in 5 minutes. And which means they have to really not stop anywhere. At that point of time, they put a person who was hungry, a person who was afflicted while they were running to the target. You see, so these people, well-meaning people who really want to show compassion, at the slightest chance could not even think about compassion because they were hurrying past. So actually, I could relate to what they were saying, because at times we don't pay attention and we don't actually put our focus on stuff which happens right before us because we are pre-engaged with something else. That is generally the number one enemy of compassion or a compassionate act. You see, I'll come to that later. So Kshama is the actual ground on which all the other values need to flower. So the first aspect of Kshama, I told you, it's called forbearance. And here it is said Kshama Tapaha. Tapas means penance. What does penance really mean? I have my 5 organs of action, I have 5 organs of senses, right? I can see, I can hear, I can touch, feel, etc. I can walk, I can do stuff, I can talk, etc. Tapas means how do I control all these sense organs? You see, that's what is tapas. How do I put my body to pressure, to a little pain voluntarily is tapas. So unless I know how to forbear either hunger or thirst or a little bit of pain, etc., how can I do penance? You see, and in fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Damodar Leela, generally all these stories of Krishna is interspread with incredible gems of dharma in it. You see, and we should not rush past it. It has been kept there for a purpose. In that he says, very beautifully he says, that when you are challenged and when you are in pain and you have no other option but to just undergo that pain, you have looked at all alternatives and there is no palliative, there is no appeasement of hunger, thirst, etc. If you quietly forbear after exhausting all alternatives without resisting, Narada Maharshi says this is the highest form of penance for you. You see, so there is an advantage in just forbearing our pain. It is equivalent to all those sages sitting in the forest and braving the cold and heat and doing penance. We can do it in a modern life. How? When we exhaust all possibilities and whatever you call it, destiny or chance or whatever, throws a little challenge, and after exhausting all possibilities, I don't have a solution in sight, so I forbear the pain. It is a penance. It's ascesis for us, you see. And that's why Kshama Tapaha. And we don't have to run somewhere to actually do penance. Day-to-day issues, when we quietly forbear after exploring all other possibilities, that becomes penance for me. Kshama. And he gives an example. We are sitting in a temple. The Lord of the temple is Srinivasa Perumal, isn't it? Srinivasa Perumal, if you observe him very carefully, he has a small mark in his chest. And the mark came in a very frightening way, you see. I will tell you a small backstory which comes in Bhagavatam to show the greatness of Kshama. Our Sri Anna says, Sarva Lokeshwaropi Yesha Padakshepam Bhrugor Munehe Kshamaya Bhagavan Sehe Kshaminam Vaibhavam Smaran. You know what happened? There was this lovely river called Saraswati. I say that in past tense because it has dried up over time. It is Antarvakini now. Clear satellite images have proven the existence of Saraswati river. It's not a mythical river and all those nonsense. It is a wonderful river of the past which has dried up over time. And there was a small assemblage of rishis who were debating the highest truths, etc. And the debate turned to which of the deities, which is the manifestation of the one divine or one consciousness, is the most supreme deity, generally. We have to understand one thing. The way in which our elders or ancestors and wise men spoke are not the way in which we speak right now. We need to understand their language, their culture, their ecosystem. And in Vedas and in Puranas, there is a small logic called not bringing down or no put down logic. How else can I translate the Sanskritam? Nahi ninda nyayam. You see, the point is not to put down something, but to elevate something else. So when I say, horses are nothing, cows are the real ones, they are not said like this to put down horses, but to rather show the greatness of a cow. They just take the name horses sideways. Just say horses are nothing, cows are everything. No, the point is not horses. You see, you should not then think horses are inferior. It to show the greatness of somebody or something. It's called nahi ninda, no ninda. Ninda means putting down something. Likewise, they all wanted to test which is the supreme deity. And one great rishi, a saint, was allowed to actually go and test it. And the rishi's name is called Bhrugu, you see. And Bhrugu went straight away to the place where our Srinivasa Perumal was lying down, you see. And our Srinivasa Perumal, who is in the sanctum out here, was, in reclining. He was taking afternoon nap, I think. When this Bhrugu came and he took on the anger and dared to put his foot imprint in the chest of the Lord of the universe. And here, immediately the Lord woke up, caught hold of the sage's feet and said, I hope your feet was not hurt by this hard chest of mine. I'm very hard-hearted that I didn't even notice that you came inside. I hope that your feet are not actually very hurt. And he started kneading the feet, asked his consort Lakshmi Devi to bring a little water to wash his feet. And here very beautifully said, how did the Lord of the universe forbear such an insult to him? He is saying that Kshamaya Bhagavan Sehe Kshaminam Vaibhavam Smarane. He remembered the greatness of people who forbear, who are his own devotees. You see, that's the beauty, that's the relationship between the Lord and the devotees. It's not above and below. At times the Lord considers his devotees as his Lord, you see. And he says, I am inspired by my great devotees, their forbearance and their sterling character. And I said, let me also forbear like that. And then this Bhrugu comes down and says, the greatest, harmonious, the most sweetest of all deities is our Srinivasa Perumal, you see. And he holds it as a very proud sign. Generally, if somebody, does slight to us, we'd like to hide it. We will feel ashamed to show that I have been insulted. But here is the Lord of the universe standing in the sanctum, showing proudly, this is the place where Bhrugu Muni blessed me with his footprint. It's called Srivatsa Maru, and he keeps it as a sign. He is feeling very proud that somehow because of my loving devotees, I was able to even forbear that, you see. And that is the reason why shama is the first and the foremost virtue, first and the foremost value to live by. And it is said that all these Bhagavatas, all these great devotees of Bhagavan, they take inspiration from the Lord himself. When they say the Lord of the universe is having so much forbearance, can I try a little more of it? You see, that's how it is a very beautiful virtuous cycle, where we get inspired by Bhagavan, Bhagavan gets inspired by his devotees, that's what he says. And this goes on building, you see. And there is a lovely story. I will tell you the story. And then I will also tell you how we actually practice in day-to-day life. The story would be extreme. That's why it's a value for that story. In the state of Maharashtra, there is this city called Paitan. And it's also called Pratishtanapura in the earlier days. You can find that near Nasik and other places in India. In that place lived a great sage and a saint by the name Ekanath Swami. His name was Sage Ekanatha, and he was such a loving disciple of his guru. He had tremendous love towards his guru. And he stayed with his guru for 12 years. 12 years he went as a bachelor, and he wanted to get the blessings of his guru. So generally when you go to a master, you would ask the master to teach something, isn't it? Can you reduce this? I think it's feedback. You generally ask the master, can you teach me something, right? So he stayed for 12 years. And you know what? All the 12 years, he didn't even ask a single question to his master. He didn't ask him, can you teach me yoga? Can you teach me wisdom? Can you bless me with a little more power of meditation? Nothing. And he realized from whatever he heard that serving a truly realized master is the highest fortune one can ever get. And so he quietly served the master. Do you know what the service is? Accounts. And keeping the water ready for the master's ablution. Going behind the master, clearing the path of his master when he walks in the woods. That's it. Not even preparing notes for him, you see. And the master looked at him. For 12 years he was like that. He wanted to test him. He wanted to see, why is he doing this? So after about 12 years was just about to be over, one day he heard an exclamation coming from the room of Ekanath, his student. It was 12 in the night. He was virtually burning midnight oil. And suddenly he said, yes, I got it. Glory is to my Guru. You see. Then the Guru came running. What did he get? Was he realized? What did he see? And finally he said there was half a penny which was not matching in the account. I have been struggling with it for 2 days. And now I have matched the half the penny. It was actually, half the penny was excess in the money part of it. It could not be accounted as an expense. Even if you lose half a penny, you may be a little concerned. Here penny is there, expense was not known. And the Guru said, what is this? There are people who come to me, they want to be a pandit, they want to be a leader in the assemblage of learned people, they beg for that. There are some people who want yogic powers, there are some people who want the power to meditate. And here is a fellow who is feeling extremely joyful when he is matching accounts like this. And the Guru could not contain himself any longer. His name was Janardhan Swami. Straight ahead went to his chosen deity. That's the power of a realized soul, that he has divinity in his hand, isn't it? So he said, you need to actually give my student an experience tomorrow, a divine experience, realization. So the next day morning, Ekanathji went to the nearby river, Godavari, to take a pot full of water for his master. While he was coming back, suddenly he had this incredible experience, the direct realization of divinity in form of Dattatreya Swami. Dattatreya gave his darshan. Quietly he came back. Generally speaking, when you have such an experience, it takes about 3 to 4 months to come to normalcy, because this is something which we can't even imagine, the amount of joy, the amount of all this firing of all these our experience inside. It's not easy to come to normalcy. He normally came back, kept the pot of water. To an extent that Janardhana Swami became a little doubtful, did he get that experience or not? The one who gave had a doubt. So he went into his meditation and then he sought to see what happened. And yes, he did have that experience. Not even one word of thanks, not even one jump of joy, not even one exclamation of delight, nothing. So he went, hey, Ekanath, come here. And master, what happened? I went to Godavari river. Then I took a pot full of water. Then I returned. In between, what happened? Oh, I had the darshan of Dattatreya. He said, what are you talking? You are talking as if you saw my neighbor, Mr. Sundar, and the manna pesara. What are you talking about? You had this divine experience. You are talking normally. What is this? He said, did I ask you for all this? To me, the master, who is so loving towards me, is the greatest God for me. And why should I seek something else when I am very clear that I am here to serve you alone? So I didn't ask for you and you gave me that experience. You asked, so I am telling you. Then the Guru said, I can't teach you any further. That love which you have for anything divine, Master, Hari, Hara, Shiva, everything are one and the same. They are all divinity. Na? So if you have love for any of those aspects, your wisdom is complete. Love leads to wisdom. So he said, you go back now. There is nothing you need to learn from now. You have realized. You go back and raise a family. And I want you to conduct lovely satsangs so that people get benefited. Write about Ramayana, write about Bhagavatam, and spread the word of divinity everywhere. And he goes back to Pratishthanapura. And then he starts doing satsang.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.